Fine. So good morning and good evening to everyone. This is Satish, and this course is for K6 Performance Testing 2. A very quick introduction about me. Um, I have close to 14 years of experience with in IT across various aspects of SDLC, starting from the product development, product engineering, performance testing, performance engineering. So I've been part of all these different flavors of SDLC in the last 14 years. Okay, and I also been taking the uh, training, corporate trainings for the last 3+ years for the various subject like performance engineering, DevOps, basics, and a few more. Okay, um, so what today we'll do is we'll go over the introduction to the course content. We'll spend some time on what are all components that we would need from K6 perspective, and we'll try to see whether we can go and create few scripts to understand how the K6 is going to be, right? See, I presume that people who have joined might have experience in other tools like Jmeter or LoadRunner, or if you might be new to performance testing who hasn't worked in any of the performance testing tool, right? This is more for the beginners to intermediate. So even if you're new to performance testing itself, it's okay. The reason is K6, unlike your traditional performance testing tool, it's not going to be like that, right? It's going to be a little different from the way you create scripts, and then you're going to design your scenarios, right? It's going to be a little different in a way that K6 originally was developed for a developers. Okay, so you would see more of code than tool itself. Okay, for everything, and what I do, you'll you go and write a code, but it doesn't mean that you need to know Java or you need to know JavaScript. Okay, it is good to have knowledge of JavaScript because K6 is based on JavaScript code, but you're going to keep using uh, the 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 same number of code that you might have created at the beginning for every other scripts as well. So it's not going to be that you have to be a tech savvy or you have to be a developer. You should know JavaScript. No, it's not a mandatory one. Okay, so K6, very overview of the K6, right? It's a like Jmeter. It's another open source tool. Okay, it's a fully open source tool acquired by Grafana. Okay? So when I say fully open source, you would be able to download K6, use it for your projects. You'll be able to create scripts. You'll be able to execute scripts. You'll be able to analyze a report. You can do everything from a performance testing, load testing perspective. You can do everything with K6. There is nothing called a commercial element that you would need for doing something. Okay, like absolutely like Jmeter. It also K6 also offers a very good cloud-based execution. If in case you wanted to have an enterprise grade um, tool, okay. So they also have a commercial element. If you want to go and use their cloud LGs, load generators, and to use their UI to design scenarios and all, it's still an option available. And in many places, your matured customers who have good budget, they're okay with providing the cloud-based K6. But all other places, K6 open source is more than enough. Okay, K6, as I told you earlier, right? It is built for developers earlier. Okay, it is mostly built to support your APIs, microservices, and cloud native applications when it comes to performance testing. It's not designed uh, for your UI based performance, but last 6 months, 8 months, they've been introducing new components, new desktop components where you can go and record it, replay it. So they're improving the UI based support as well to catch up with the other tools. Okay. The another very important aspect is K6 is very lightweight. Okay, unlike your JMeter or other tools, K6 is very light, which means it's going to consume very less memory when you're going to use it for your execution. Okay, that's their claim as well. So, for example, if you wanted to run for a 10,000 concurrent users in Jmeter, you might need say 10 missions or 12 missions. Okay, whereas with K6, you might just need to have 5 missions or 6 missions. Not an exact number to number comparison, but that's how it is. Okay. So, anybody have any questions just from what is K6? Why is K6? Any basic questions that you guys have? Okay. Okay, good. Fine. Now, for you to learn K6, for you to use K6, these are the software that is required for you to install in your machine. Okay, I'll upload the sheet to the drive, Google Drive, which you will get an access once you register and make payment. You will get an access to that drive where you will have all the scripts, all the whatever we create in the during the course, all the scripts and these sheets will be available in the drive for you download. Okay, we'll just go one by one. Okay, so K6 as a tool, that's a uh, minimal basic thing that you need in your machine. You can download the K6 from. You can go to the K6 website and you can download it, or you can just follow this link and you can download it. It's a very simple installer, an MSF file. You double click it, your K6 will get installed. Okay, so this is the first thing you have to do it. Two, you need VS Code. Okay, so as I said, your script is going to be like a code. All your enhancements, all your error handling, correlation, all these things you will enhance your script in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you need Visual Studio Code. Third is K6 Studio. Okay, K6 Studio is a new component they have come up with for a recording of your UI based application. Okay, it's kind of a recorder where you can provide the URL and it will capture your events to a port. Okay, this is a good desktop application for your K6, but it's not like your LoadRunner where you can do everything in this app. You cannot do an edit. Okay, you can just record and then you can replay and validate. So you will use K6 Studio to record and replay, whereas all the enhancements, right? Most of the enhancements you will do it through the Visual Studio Code. Okay. Yeah, and then one second, I'll just close this. Okay, and then these are all the optional software that you need it, but you will need it later. But to start with, the InfluxDB and Grafana, you might not need it immediately. These are required for you to do your live monitoring of your K6 test. Okay, K6 doesn't have a inbuilt monitoring option. You need to have this InfluxDB and Grafana. Not immediately, maybe after a week or so, you would need this as well. So you can download and install, as I mentioned it here. Grafana, you can install it. InfluxDB, you can just unzip it and start using it. K6 is an installer again. You have to execute the exe. Okay, and the last two, again, it's optional. It's not for now. You need Go and Git. I'll tell you later why we need. I don't want to confuse you, but Go and Git, it's an optional software. You might need to have it later. Okay, maybe after 2 weeks, not now. Okay, and additionally, you have to go and get a cloud setup, K6 Cloud. Okay, so if you go to grafana.com, just type in Grafana K6. Okay, and you go and register and get an account. Okay, the reason is you can do few things in Grafana Cloud to make your learning little easy, to make your script development for API also little easy. Okay, so I was telling about K6 offers cloud. Grafana offers a cloud account, right? Where you can pay money and you can execute for multiple load generators, and then you also will get a better UI for your test design. But with a trial account, you can still go and do all these things with a limited set of users. So they allow you to go and open a trial account with Grafana. Okay, so you can just go and create an account with your Gmail. Okay, once you get an account with a Gmail, you will get your own URL like sateshrepos.grafana.net. We got your own URL, right? So similarly, you will also get your own URL for your account. Okay, and then when you come here, if you go to testing, and I'll close this. Yeah. So under the testing and synthetics, expand it, you'll get a projects, performance projects. Okay. So go to the performance and go and create a new project. Okay. So there will be an icon to go and create a new project. I don't know whether I've exhausted my trial account. So I have already created a project. A project is simply you just going to click a new project and then a project will get created. You will not add anything, nothing. Just you're going to create a placeholder. Okay. I'll probably try to delete something. Okay. So create a project. Once you create a project, or yeah, I think I can do it here. Create a project. You can just give a project name, whatever you want, give a project name. Everything else, you can just leave it as it is. You will be able to execute only 500 uses per month for 1 hour is the maximum duration. So these limits you can set it for your project, but for your trial account, for your learning, you don't need to disturb anything. Just go and create a new project. Okay. So once you create a new project, you will have something like this. Okay, I'll go to the default project. And then in the default project, you can go and create a new test. Okay. Under the new test, there will be two things. One, you can start building your test, or you can start your scripting. Okay. Go to the start building. Here, you'll be able to go and design your scripts for your APIs, for your microservices. Okay. It's an UI where you can see, mostly for microservices or APIs in your project, right? You will get the set of Postman collections, or you will get your APIs request and response, or in some project you might have a Open API um, uh, documents, Swagger documents. With those, you will go and create your scripts. Correct. So, for example, if I go to the Swagger, okay. So if you see here, this is a documentation for pet store microservices. Okay, it will have list of all these services: create pet, delete pet, update pet, get stores, update stores. Okay, so you have all these different services grouped under a module. Okay, so with this more in the project as well, you will get this kind of documentation for you to create your functional manual test cases, or automation test cases, or your performance test cases. Okay, for example, say if I let me go and take a simple case of getting my pet. Okay, so if I go to this get my pet, okay, I can also execute this directly from here. to validate whether the APIs are working or not. For me to understand my API, okay, I'll say try it out, and it will ask for the input. Right, I'll just say one. Okay, it is responding with 200 response code with some pet details. Pet is doggy, and few other details. Status is available. It provides me a response. Okay, now what I can do is I'll just demonstrate how can you convert this into a K6 script for you to understand how it is going to look like. We'll use a combination of K6 Cloud Test Builder, and also we'll go and use the Microsoft Visual Studio Code, and then see how this end-to-end is going to work for a simple API. Okay, so before even we go for all these, before going, what I'll do is I'll finish this end-to-end demonstration, and then I'll go over what are the various topics that you will learn in the next 2 to 3 weeks, right? So I'll give a walkthrough on what are all things that you will be learning in the 2 to 3 weeks. Before that, I'll just complete my end-to-end demonstration of this flow. Okay, so I got a requirement from my project team, from my development team. This is the API documentation, and this documentation has the details about all the APIs and associated request, response, everything. Okay, so now for getting a pet, I know what is the request URL, what are the headers. There's no request body because it's a request URL where the input is going in the request URL itself. Okay, so headers and request URL, I already have it in the documentation. Okay, now I'll go to the test builder. In the test builder, I'll go and create a group. Okay, I just add a group. Group is nothing but a transaction marker. Okay, for you to calculate a response time for your APIs, you need to have a group. Okay, so I'll say group name is get pet. Okay, and then I'll add a request. Okay, I'll add a request. So I've added a group and then added a request. Okay, in the request, I can give a name get pet API. Whatever name you want to give, just give it. And then in the request, right, you will get all the methods. It can get post, put, patch, option, delete, edit, whatever you want. You can go and select it. So in our documentation, it's going to be get call. Okay, so and the URL is going to be this. Okay, and the headers, you can go and add the headers. Headers are your accept application JSON. So you can go, there is some default headers will be available, accept application JSON. If you want to add some new headers, you can also go and add it. You can go and type it, and then you can go and add it as well. So either you can choose what is available in the drop down, or you can go and uh, type in your own whatever you want. Okay, so I've added a group name, a request name, and given a request URL and the headers. Okay, then I'll give you detailed um, what is other options are checks, variables, body, and all. I'll teach you later. Okay, for now I will not go into any of these things. Okay, now in the top right, you will see something called script. Okay, you just build your script through this UI, and if you want to see the script which will be generated behind the scene, you can go and toggle this into a script. You will see this getting converted into a script. Okay, it will have some imports, it will have some scenario details, it will have some export functions, get pet group. and then the URL, whatever you have given, it would have given you the script. Okay, so you no need to go and write a script for you for your requirement. You can just build it using this test builder, and then a script will get generated. Okay, once you are used to K6, once you have worked for K6 for 6 months, minimum 6 months, right? Then you will be able to create this by yourself, because most of these things are going to be repeated, right? The way you have to hit the URL is going to be through this. The headers will be constructed through this. So which means you'll be already having some good sample scripts with you, which you can use it for adding new APIs. You no need to come to test builder always. But it is good to use this option, at least now during a learning phase, and also at the initial project phase. Okay. Then once this is done, what you do is you just copy the entire thing. Copy the entire thing, and then go to the Visual Studio Code. Okay. Go to the new file. You just paste it. Okay. Once you paste this, you'll get to see the Visual Studio Code automatically understands K6 JavaScript, and then it is going to give a color coding for the keywords. Okay, there's also something extension in the Visual Studio Code, right? Go to the extension and then type in K6. Okay, and then you just install this K6 for Visual Studio Code. Okay, this alone you install it. Apart from this, nothing else is required. Okay, this is required for nothing rather than giving you this proper formatting of your script, and also adding these color codes. Your Visual Studio will understand K6 better with the extension. That's not a mandatory, but you try to go to the extension and then type in K6 and then install the K6 for Visual Studio Code. Okay. Now, once you have this, right, I have saved it. So the structure of your K6, I'll explain you the structure of the K6 and all a little later, how it is going to be structured. What are the very components inside your K6, K6 scripts? Those things I'll explain it later. For now, what I'll do is I'll just go to the directory where the script is stored. Okay, and then I'm going to say K6 run. Okay, before I executing it, I'll go on. By default, it has given me some 20 users. Okay, don't worry about these things. I'll be explaining it in detail about the scenarios and all. For now, I'll go and make it as one, because we're just going to run it for a few samples to validate whatever we have created in the test builder, it is working out. Okay. Okay. Now I'll go and execute this. So once you type in the K6 run, your script name is the command for executing your K6 scripts. Okay, it's showing 1 out of 1 views, 13 iteration completed. So it's giving you the information, but it's not giving you any other information on what is happening inside that, right? So we have to enhance it properly so that we know exactly whether it is working fine or not. Okay. So once the test is completed, you get this log alone, right? So it says HTTP request duration, number of HTTP requests failed, 15 out of 24 got failed. HTTP request is 24, iteration duration, number of iterations, views is, network data received, data sent. So it gives you some basic information about your HTTP related metrics alone. Okay, so this is a raw script and you executed it. So you cannot expect more data to be available in the response. Okay, only thing is it has run 24 times and 15 times, 15 or 24 times it got failed. Why it has failed, well, we don't know, right? So we will enhance the script and all later, but the purpose here is how to, for your APIs or microservices, okay, for those kind of API projects, how do you go about with script development is what I wanted to show you as a demonstration, right? Right from your understanding your APIs in the Swagger file. From here, you pick the API that you wanted to do the scripting, and then go to the test builder, and in the test builder, add those groups request, and then you go and build your script and get your script out of it, copy it, and then you put it in your Visual Studio Code and just plain execution we are going to do it. We haven't enhanced anything at all. We didn't do any parameterization, correlation, error handling, printing something. No, nothing. It's just I'm executing it and I got a response. So at least a script is now developed. Okay. Script is developed and it's running as well. Okay. So we'll go and learn all these other enhancements in the upcoming sessions. I'll take a pause here. Yeah, anybody have any questions? Please go ahead.
Hey Satish, myself Narsimha. So this is for one API, right? Like we are able to understand these are the whatever the report generated for the one API. If we have the multiple APIs, how come we know that this particular average response is related to that particular transaction?
Yes. So that is where we haven't done any enhancements to the script, right? So as you said, the result you won't be able to differentiate between the, if you have 10 APIs, with this, whatever you're seeing it, you won't be able to differentiate whether the response time, whatever you see, request duration, is it for what? It's going to be an average for all 10 APIs. Number of failures is for all the APIs. You won't be able to differentiate. So you have to enhance the script in such a way that you would be able to differentiate it. So it's possible and we will be doing it. So that's why we added something called group name. Okay. So once you added the group name, then you will be able to get the group wise response time as well with proper enhancements. So it is possible.
Okay. So we have the better better report visibility at the Jmeter or even HTML uh, format, or like even we have the aggregate report and summary report. So what is the best what is the best option with K6?
So we obviously we cannot compare feature to feature with Jmeter or LoadRunner.
Mm-hmm.
Jmeter has been there for more than 10-15 years, right? So it has evolved. And there's a lot
Exactly.
of contribution from the open source as well. So if you go and compare, Jmeter will be superior. Okay. Um, from a feature perspective. Coming back to your reporting and monitoring features available in K6, it also have those summary report as well. Let me open a sample summary report. Okay, so this is one of the report um, for a K6 execution.
Mhm.
So if you see here, it provides you number of requests, failed requests, number of breach thresholds, number of validation that got failed, and also if you see here, your group level response time metrics for every transaction, your add to cart, click confirm, create pet, launch, select store. So whatever activity or transaction you're going to have it in your script, you'll get a average maximum 90th percentile, 95th percentile with whether the SLA is deviated or not, you will get it here.
Okay.
Okay. So
Uh,
this is one. And then if you go to the checks and groups, you'll also see how many transactions passed and failed for each of these transactions. So basic data will be available in your summary report. You might not get fancy charts and graphs and all. For that, you can still achieve it using the Grafana. So two options available for your monitoring and reporting. One is getting this kind of a summary report. Second is you can live monitor your test using InfluxDB and Grafana.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both we will learn how to do it, how to configure, how to get it. All these things we will anyway learn during our sessions.
Okay.
Yes, Satish, myself, Shudha. So you showed like build script by using Grafana, right? So if we
Mhm.
have that value on that API, so how it will be work?
Sorry. Repeat that. What is that you're saying in the API?
In API, if we have dynamic value, how the script will be developed? I mean correlation, right? If we have any API with some correlation value,
Correct.
how it will be generate the script? Because we need to
So
write
it won't get.
function.
Yeah, you have to write. You have to write code. You can also handle that correlation a little bit in the test builder itself. Okay, but you have to write code. You have to look into the response. It's the concept is same like any other tool, right? You have to see what is the response body of a previous APIs, and then see how it is getting generated, and then you go and look into that pattern. There are a couple of options available using the regular expressions, or there is a similar to your left boundary and right boundary, right? You can correlate that using find between, or there's something called JSON path query. You can go and query it using the JSON path. There are multiple options available to do a correlation. That also you will learn how to do the correlation for your APIs, how to do correlation for your UI. You will learn. But test builder in the test builder itself also there is a kind of option available where you can try to do that. There is something called variables. You can add variables and then you can try to correlate from the previous body. I'll tell you how to do it when we go in detail, but
Okay.
definitely uh, correlation is something for APIs or UI. You have to insert a code to get it through this regular expression or through this find between or JSON path. You will be able to achieve it.
Okay. And one more question. So K6 will works only for Linux based applications or it will works for Windows based applications as well?
It doesn't matter, right? All it needs is an API and UI. Whether
Yeah.
you're deployed your application in Linux machine or deployed your application in your Windows machine, for
Mm.
us, it is more about this APIs, right? This API is over the HTTPS. So
Okay.
we will not even know whether it is now with this pet store. I will not know. I'll not even know whether it is deployed in a Linux or Windows. Doesn't matter. And even if you
Okay.
go to any of the UI based application, also same thing. It can be either way.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything over the web, HTTP, HTTPS, you'd be able to do it using K6.
Okay. Got it.
So, Satish, one more question. Coming to the market trend regarding the different multi-protocol support. So, LoadRunner has a huge amount of the protocol support, whereas into the K6, like what kind of protocols can be expected to be supported?
Exactly. You cannot go and do this comparison at all. Definitely. LoadRunner is superior with respect to all this protocol support. And in many projects enterprise application we do performance testing especially for the end user based applications, right?
Right.
That's a sensitive area. So which means 75% would be through your HTTP HTTPS, which is what K6 is focusing on. Okay, K6 also, so which means K6 is going to support HTTP HTTPS protocol to a larger extent. That's their main. Okay. Second, WebSockets for your chat applications and all. A lot of now with the chatbot, with the GenAI chatbots, it's all through WebSockets. So K6 also supports WebSocket uh, scripting. Okay, number two. Number three, other protocols for messaging queues, RabbitMQs, your
Kafka.
MQTT protocols, RabbitMQs, sorry, your Kafka kind of messaging queues. There are extensions available. You can do it. It is possible that just that you need to write the code, import some libraries. That is not directly supported, but it is all possible. So basically, web and WebSockets are the native supporting for um, using K6. There's also for remote procedure calls uh, also supported, but again, those things are not going to be, you might not get a lot of support from open source communities, and
Okay,
it's all through extensions. So if at all you wanted to go and recommend K6 in your project, you recommend it for WebSockets and your web protocols.
gotcha.
Do you know where you can compare with the LoadRunner for this?
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for the answer. And one more final question from my side. So actually, like the current project, actually, they want to migrate it to the K6, which they already had the scripts on to the NeoLoad, and some of them are in the LoadRunner. So can I suggest them to migrate those scripts into the K6? K6 is going to be supported those migrations.
See, when you say migration, you're saying automatically converting your Neuro to K6.
Yes.
Uh, I don't think there's a plugin or there's an uh, any utility available to do an auto migration.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I don't think so. See, LoadRunner to Jmeter, there were hard
exactly.
to Jmeter, there are. What you can actually do is try out is you can capture a har file, you run your
Okay.
new load script, you get your har file, and then the R file to K6, there is an option to do it. Okay, but that is going to only reduce your recording time.
Correct. That's true.
It's not going to convert all your custom logics and all, correlation, parameterization and all. It is not going to convert. So for that, you can go recording itself. So, but with current Gen AI world with Copilot, if you have Copilot in your projects, you can definitely train your prompts and then try to get this conversion more effective way. The correlation, parameterization and all,
Yeah.
the custom code and all, Copilot might convert it.
Exactly. You need to give the right prompt to convert your code. Yes.
Yeah, it will do, but you have to set up that in a proper way. So it is still possible. But
Okay.
I would recommend this um, for debugging and for further enhancements, right?
Correct.
If you're going to create it from scratch, you will have better grip over what is there. If Copilot is going to convert you, you will not even know what is there inside that. You might find difficult later. So there are pros and cons.
Exactly. Even I'm struggling a lot actually with the Copilot as well, Satish. So conversion is not happening exactly what I'm expecting. But again, the
Correct.
manual effort was taking too long.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It
Yeah.
has to be a journey because you're going to move from one neo load to K6, and we should have that time window to do that properly. So
Exactly.
that yeah, so because you want to save money in the long run. So your current productivity might come down because you're doing this migration.
Right.
Just for 2 months or 3 months. Right? Later, then you're going to save a lot of money because you're not going to pay any license cost to the new load. So that people has to understand. It is going to take some time for you to achieve this migration.
True.
Okay, fine. So what we will learn in the next few weeks would be uh, the first two sessions are meant for people who are very new to performance testing. Okay, I'll try to understand overall going to be registered and made payment, and depending upon uh, their the people who are going to join, if they are new to the performance testing, I'll try to have a session covering the performance testing basics, your web services basics, HTTP traffic basics, script development process, parameterization correlation. All these are all basic building blocks for anybody to learn even before going to a tool. Okay, so this might be very basics for the people who are already in performance testing, but idea is for the people who are new to get used to this. Okay, and then we'll go into the some of the basics of JavaScript's K6 script structure and overview. The reason is your K6 itself, as I said, it's all JavaScript. Okay, the way you declare variables, where the way you validate your response code or response text, all these things, the code that you're going to write, it's in your JavaScript. So some of the basics of JavaScript is required that we will learn, along with the how the K6 script is structured, what are the various components within your K6 script. All these things we'll learn at the as part of your initial sessions. Okay, and then we'll get started with the script development for microservices, including everything. You build your script, handle parameterization, how to handle the CSV files, JSON files as input, how to read data randomly, unique. So all the parameterization with respect to microservices we'll learn. And similarly, all the possible types of correlation with K6 for a microservices is as well we will learn. Okay, so after learning parameterization and correlation, we'll also touch upon your for web UI, right? For web UI, similar way, we'll took a couple of UI apps and then we'll go and record it using K6 recorder, the one which is here, right? This is a K6 recorder. You will have this recorder. So we'll use K6 recorder for recording your UI flow, and then we'll try to see how to enhance in VS Code. Okay, we'll try to learn how to enhance it using the VS Code from a parameterization perspective, from correlation perspective. We'll go and learn different correlation techniques of HTML.find, regular expressions, and find between. We'll spend some time on some of the examples of regular expression as well. And then the error handling, checks, thresholds, all these things are required for a properly making your script to be ready for your execution. Okay, we'll try to learn what is meant by checks in K6. How are we going to use it? How are we going to do an error handling when check is going to fail? All these things we'll learn from enhancing your script. Okay, and the libraries that are required to make your script generating a report. Your thresholds for setting up your failure rate, checks pass rate, response time, um, and then having proper error handling to check whether the correlation is completed or not. All these things from making a script ready for execution, you will learn. Okay, and then from an execution perspective, there are various scenarios available in K6, like a shadow iteration, per view iteration, constant views, ramping views. So we will try to learn what are the various scenarios available in K6 and how are we going to use it. Which one is going to be useful for what purpose? Okay, and K6 doesn't support distributed load testing by default. Okay, like Jmeter, you cannot share your scripts from one master to multiple LGs. You cannot control master slave. All these things are not available in K6, but we'll try to see how we can still achieve a load testing from multiple LGs. Okay, and then we'll go and configure multiple scenarios, your UI, web services, and then do a full-fledged execution. And then we'll set up InfluxDB and Grafana for your live monitoring. Right? We'll try to go and learn. Will that be a separate session on setting up the Influx and Grafana for live monitoring and how to create dashboards, how to create charts manually, importing as well. We will learn. Okay, and then once you learn that out as well, we'll try to go and run some multiple scenarios, right? And then we'll use both InfluxDB Grafana for live monitoring, and also we'll use the summary report for final report consolidation. Okay, and file writing and a few other things are not natively available within K6. We will try to see how to rebuild your K6 for this activity. how to write custom code for your file writing, how to do execution in cloud, um, because the execution in on-prem and cloud are totally different. So how to use Cases Cloud for your execution and monitoring, why we need GitHub for cloud executions, how to transfer files from your local to your Cases Cloud. So all these things we'll learn from a cloud execution point of view. And finally, we'll have a high-level overview on client-side performance. K6 um, asks this something similar to your true client, right? K6 supports getting some your web vitals for your UI-based application. Okay. Only thing is here you have to create a UI-based scripting. Unless otherwise, unless like a HTTP protocol, this is going to be a UI-based script. Like an automation scripter will do a scripting was linear, right? You have to go and create a script for your UI with an UI level scripting. Okay. So in your project, you might not be expert in UI level scripts. You have to probably work with your automation testers to get this UI scripts ready. And then when you want to include that UI scripts as part of the execution, it will give you the web vitals, your time to first paint, time to first byte, time to largest contentful paint. All these additional metrics is something K6 will give you, which are very good to have, not a must to have, very good to have for a UI based application. Okay, so all these things is what we will be covering it in the upcoming sessions. Okay, I'll pass it here, guys. Others who hasn't asked any questions, people who are new to performance testing, feel free to ask any questions in the chat or in the you can unmute. Don't hesitate. Don't think what others will think about you. Just ask question or put it in the chat so that it will be useful for you.
Sir, small question. Can we also cover this authentication part when it comes to accessing API?
Yes. Yeah, sure. The token extraction from the header or from the response body, will include that as well.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
I
So
need to
are
know
we
what is
covering
the
like IDP
difference
token as well?
between API and
Hello?
microservice? Like you're always saying microservices on all. What's the difference in API and microservice?
Okay, it's not of a much different from a technical implementation. Okay, so whatever you see it here, right? All these are all, you can either call it as a microservices, or microservices are very small component, right? For achieving one goal, you will have a one service. So each and everything are individual components. The way it is architected, it is the way they implemented, right? It will, your microservices will differ. For example, as a definition, a microservice can get will work on its own. It won't have dependencies. It will have its own code. It will have its own database, and it will be deployed separately in a container or in a VM machine. Okay, so microservice by definition, it will work on its own. It won't depend upon the other services or other uh, components. It will have its own database. But APIs are microservices one of the APIs. So microservice is more of a class, one of the subcategory of your APIs. From a technical implementation, from a performance testing, or for your any of your testing perspective, it's all going to be same. Both your APIs or microservices is going to have your endpoints. It's going to have request headers, request body, response headers, response body. It's not going to be any different for APIs. Your REST APIs or your microservices are both are going to be same. Only the way it is going to get deployed, only the way it is going to get developed and deployed, there's going to be a light difference between APIs and microservices, but not from a end user perspective.
So microservice also doesn't have the UI and all like we have APIs?
No. Yeah, everything is good. Yeah, both microservices and APIs are more of a all your these kind of calls endpoints only. It will not have an UI. Okay, see, there are microservices based application, which means if I go here, if I go to the pet store UI, say this is a UI. Okay, so this is a microservices based application, which means you will have a UI. Okay, and for every action, it will call a microservices. So it will call this services. Okay, so the reason why we call this as a microservices based application is it will learn UI and everything else are going to have a this is going to get integrated with your microservices. So if I go and click fish, right, it will go and call the let me go and check this. It will call the API for internally. It will go and call an API for getting the all the categories. Okay, so get by category would be the one of the options, one of the services in your uh, pet store. So when you say microservices based application, okay, there will be an UI for an end user, but all the activity, all the actions, all the main functionality, it will go and interact with your microservices. Okay, that's why you will get in your project you will hear that it's a microservices based application, which means there will be set of microservices created and available like this, and then this can be consumed by, obviously your microservice will be consumed, right? End users will not be eating the API. The mobile apps, whatever you're using, it will consume microservices. The UI based application will consume microservices. So microservices are kind of backend components, a middleware component, which will be consumed by your UI. UI can be web or can be mobile. So when you hear that it's a microservices based application, you might have an UI for that. For that, you might do a end-to-end test. You can do a both API level testing, where you can take every services and you can go and do a service level load testing. Okay, that is also recommended. And from an end-to-end perspective, also you can go and do an end-to-end testing of your UI flows. So
So we can
microservices
say
based application will
microservice
have
is
UI.
a collection of APIs.
Yeah, definitely, yes, it is.
And microservice having a UI also, like you showed the pet store
Yes,
octopus
yes,
UI also,
yes.
and
Yes, yes. See, it
API.
has to be consumed, right? You have APIs, it's all okay, but somebody has to consume it, right? The consumers are going to be your mobile apps or it's going to be your UI. So in your project, you might work in a project where your team, your development team will be just creating on services. Okay. And there will be some other team within your enterprise who will be working on your UI. And there will be an integration team, or that team will integrate with your APIs. Okay. So in architecture, you will have the APIs as one of the middleware components, and then there will be front ends also.
So K6 can do the client side perform of testing. You mean to say this is on UI? This is the one, yeah. In this, you mean to say the client side perform of testing?
Yes. So K6 also supports capturing the client side metrics like time to first byte, time to first paint for this page. Okay, there are two things. One, you will do a normal load testing for this UI, like you capture the HTTP request response for all the your page clicks, you record it, and then you do a normal load testing the way you do it with Jmeter or your LoadRunner. Okay, and then traditionally your load testing will capture your server side uh, round trip time, right? It won't capture the all these paint related metrics and all, web vital and all. It won't capture because it's all on the UI rendering. So for that, like True Client in LoadRunner, K6 also have a option of capturing the UI elements. You can create a UI based script, and then you will be able to go and get these web vital metrics also with a single user.
Okay. And K6 can do the mobile load testing also, or it's only for the web? I mean, to find the even doesn't matter because we are going to test the API. So whether it's in
Correct,
mobile
exactly.
or web
Yeah, exactly.
doesn't
You're right.
matter.
You're right. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to you have to capture the APIs. So you can record your APIs through Charles Proxy or any other proxy tool. Once you get an APIs, right, or from a documentation. Once you have those microservices or the definition of those APIs, you can go and create it in K6. Doesn't matter if it's going to be UI or mobile.
Okay. Because you have mentioned in your syllabus the client side performance. That's why I thought like we need to do it on mobile also.
No, 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 no. Client side performance, what I mean here is you can get your some of the web vitals like time to first paint and time to largest content paint that you can get it through K6. But the scripting is not going to be that straightforward. If you are from an automation background, you can easily go and create a UI based scripts. Okay, you need that knowledge of UI elements, XPath locators, and all. That's why we will let that created by your automation testers. You can get help from them to create the automation scripts, and then you can run it in the K6, and then you can get these additional metrics. I'll touch upon at a high level how you will do it, but we will not get into the UI level scripting. When I say UI level scripting, UI object level scripting. Of course, we will learn the UI scripting from a load testing point of view, but not from the client side performance standpoint.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Before we wind off, anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, hi
Anybody have any
Satish.
questions? Yeah,
This is
please.
Shilpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So you
are we covering?
mentioned,
I have a question here. Hello.
Yeah, please. Go on,
Yeah.
Devani,
Are
please.
we covering like IDP token as well for the APIs?
What is the token?
Like IDP token, IDP generating token, right? Access token.
See, any tokens that is going to be part of your response header. Your tokens will be there in the response header, or it will be there in the
Okay.
response body. It can be session IDs, it can be tokens. Anything that is going to be available in the response header or in your response body, we will be able to capture it and pass it on to the next request. So it can be any tokens, it can be any IDs, any session IDs. The correlation is going to be same only. So I'll go over a couple of examples for this, generic in nature, which you can apply to any of your tokens that will be there in the headers or body.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, ma'am.
this is Shilpa. Yeah. So I just wanted to confirm, you mentioned that also authentication will also be covered in the session, right? So what kind of authentication can we expect? Like, right? We have so many authentication in place. Currently in my projects, we have NTLM and OAuth authentications. So those are a bit difficult to handle, when we are doing for the first time. So are we going to cover those kind of authentications as well in this K6 training?
We'll not go in depth into this complex scenarios, ma'am. If you want a specific thing, let me know. We'll try to cover that as well, but that is not planned. Your
Okay.
NTLM or your OAuth, right? If there are any sample applications that are available using this, let me know. I'll try to cover it as well, but it's not planned as such.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Through the day, anybody have any questions, just ping me in the WhatsApp group. If you have any questions, something we want to discuss, let me know. Otherwise, we'll meet tomorrow, guys. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Satish.
Yeah, thank you all. Bye-bye.